Hey, this is Sam from Shure. In this video tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate the use of custom groups, or building a coordinated set of compatible frequencies into a custom set of groups and channels for later use. Wireless Workbench is a really powerful engine for frequency coordination. It can take in scan data and a bunch of other things to generate a compatible set of frequencies. However, not everybody either has time or the know-how or the desire to use a software solution for coordinating compatible frequencies. So for this reason, Shure has offered a couple different options for users who just need to pick frequencies they know are going to work. One of the most noteworthy ones is groups and channels. So if you're familiar with a lot of our higher tier and mid-tier systems, groups and channels are basically pre-built sets of compatible frequencies. So basically, if a user wanted to use 16 channels of PSM 1000 in this case, they could basically set all of the channels of a particular type of system to a certain group, so everybody could be in group 1. And then each one of those channels could choose a different channel. So it would be like group 1, channel 1, group 1, channel 2, group 1, channel 3. And what our promise is, what Shure's promise is that all of the channels within a particular group are pre-coordinated such that they're compatible with one another. And each of the groups has a different sort of logical scheme. And if you look at Shure's website, the documentation for each group will say something like, group 1 is a wideband group, and it fills frequencies in the entire band of a particular product. Or group 2 avoids these particular TV stations, for instance. So these groups and channels are really helpful ways for users who don't want to care about frequency coordination to quickly pick frequencies they know are going to be compatible. Now, there are cases where, let's imagine you're a rental company and you're providing systems for a particular client, and their RF context is specific, and you want to add white glove service to the gear that you provide to them and build a coordination into a set of systems such that they know that those frequencies are custom picked for them. They know they're going to be compatible, and they don't have to think about using Wireless Workbench or doing a custom frequency coordination. Custom groups is a tool that you can use to bake in a set of compatible frequencies into devices that will show up in the very familiar group and channel interface. And I'll show you how to use that right now. So here's the example. Let's say I'm renting a number of systems to a particular gig that's going to happen in Nashville. So Nashville, if I had an RF scan from Nashville, I'd load it in. It just so happens that I don't have one. So what I did instead was I went into the TV channels dialog and I punched in the zip code where the gig is going to be, and I searched, and I found 11 TV stations in the UHF and VHF range that are somewhat near the zip code. So I saved that, and now those channels are checked. So basically, I'm going to avoid those DTV stations. You can see those red bars popped up there. Now for my frequencies, I know that about 10 channels are going to be in use for all these different types of systems, and I added 4 backup frequencies for them as well. Let me collapse this so we can see it. PSM 1000, Axient in the G1 band, and ULXD in the K band. So basically, I've got those frequencies loaded. Wireless Workbench is pretty clever. It can do a frequency coordination and find all these requested frequencies pretty quickly. But now, when it comes to the deploy time, I could deploy all these frequencies to the gear automatically, and I may do that. But what I want is for the client to be set up to change frequencies on the fly if for whatever reason some of these frequencies don't use, but for them to have a known, safe place where all these frequencies can live. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to export these 14 frequencies for each type of system to what's called a custom group. Now if you hover your mouse over this particular icon here, you'll see it says Export Custom Groups. And clicking that, I actually already did this last month, but now it's a different month, so I can call these frequencies. I can put them into a custom group set of files. I'll call this Nashville Gig February, and I'll save that here under my custom groups. And what that did is it created a set of files, each one of which corresponds to a different type of devices containing those compatible frequencies. So now, let's see how we would use them. So I've got, one of each device type here, which is pretty handy. And if I open the properties panels, let's start with PSM 1000. You'll notice that if I wanted to manually select groups and channels, there are the predefined ones here that Shure provides. But what I want to do now is import those compatible frequencies I specially coordinated for that Nashville gig into this device so that I can access them later. So I'll go to the Devices tab shown by this gear here and select Custom Groups. And now this dialog is loaded where I can see U1 through U6 are listed. And U1 through U6, they're names that Shure programs into the device, but they're meant to indicate user group 1, user group 2. These are the customizable ones that I can modify and load. So you'll see I already have some things in the user group 1, but if I want, I can either overwrite that or load my custom frequencies into any of these groups. So I'll use the U2 user custom group. So when I select that, you see it's empty. I can select edit, and now I want to import frequencies into this group. Now if I wanted, I could punch frequencies in here by custom if I knew the frequencies I wanted to use, but I don't. So what I'm going to do is clear all this out and import that file, that Nashville gig February that I just created. If it were a multi-zone coordination, we'd see all the zones here, but it was just one zone. And I'll select the PSM1000 L8 CUG file, and this CUG stands for Custom User Group. And so this set of frequencies, those 14 frequencies, are stored in that file. And when I open it, you'll see all 14 of them get loaded right there. So loading these frequencies in this way enables me to later, when I apply this, select frequencies from the U2 group, not like the band. That was comical and coincidental. But what I can do here is now, once I've saved this data into this PSM1000, you'll notice that if, let's say, I deploy this gear to the client and for whatever reason they need to change to a different frequency, I can tell them, hey, pick any frequency in the U2 group, and all of these frequencies are going to be compatible. So let's say they started on channel 1 and they need to switch to channel 2. They can rest easily knowing that all of the frequencies in the U2 group are completely compatible with one another. And if I wanted, I could do the same thing for each of the different devices that I know is going to be a part of this gig. I'll go to Device Settings, Custom Groups, I'll select U2, I'll edit this, and then import in this case, ULXD frequencies for that group. And now all 14 frequencies are compatible. So this is a really easy way. Custom Groups basically provides you a set of tools to import custom compatible frequencies for different devices, such that later a client or somebody else can simply pick from those custom groups and know that all of the frequencies they'll pick will be compatible with one another and their environment. So I hope this tutorial was helpful. I know custom groups is a particular set of tools that might be used most effectively in a particular use case. But if you've got any questions or comments, be sure to leave them down below. Thanks.